Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and Eitan and I are here today to share the secrets behind what it takes to elevate the world. And especially in 2025, when it's all so easy to look outside your window, turn on the TV, check your phone, and feel like the world is, as they say, going to hell in a handbasket, and at the same time be so focused on our own growth and transformation and revealing our own unique light. It's an important time to talk about how that effort that we make individually affects the world and why it's so critical to be focused on that work versus the temptation of trying to convince other people to think differently, to act differently, and to see things the way we do. Weekly Energy Boost is a 7-day spiritual weather forecast where we provide our listeners with the most practical and powerful tools to navigate the coming 7 days. We do that through the wisdom and tools of Kabbalah so that every episode ends up offering timeless wisdom and tools that can be used any week of the year, any year of your life. And especially because we have, in addition to this week's energy, the new moon of Scorpio coming up, it's especially important to attune ourselves to the unique opportunities that are coming our way and how we can utilize this week's energy as well as the month of Scorpio to take our own impact to the next level. So, Eitan, where do you want to begin?
So let's start with the energy of Scorpio, in Hebrew Cheshvan, that this energy starts this week on Tuesday night, the new moon of the month of Scorpio. We know that when the month of Scorpio in Hebrew Cheshvan is described, it's called Mar Cheshvan. Means bitter Scorpio. Bitter Scorpio. Is it because it indicates it's going to be a bad month or negative month? We know Kabbalistically that the light of the Creator never ceases to exist, to share His beneficence, but every month there are different tests we all going through. And the test of the month of Scorpio is the test of how do we handle intensity of energy. Scorpio is one of this month that the energy is so intensive, and when energy is very intensive, it means we are even more tested with our reactive nature, with our controlling nature, specifically for Scorpio, with our jealousy nature, specifically for the month of Scorpio, with the energy of just thinking about ourselves. In this month of Scorpio, almost 4,000 years ago, the story of this portion of the week, the story of Noah, took place, the flood of during the time of Noah. That the whole world beside Noah and his family and few pairs of animals that were protected in the ark, the whole world was destroyed. When did it happen? In the 17th day of the lunar month of Scorpio, the month of Cheshvan. So, by looking at that story, by looking about at what the Zohar tells us, what was the cause of this destruction of the world? How can we relate to that destruction today? What brought about the destruction? What did Noah do or didn't do to avoid destruction or to protect at least small group of animals and his family? We're going to learn what we can do today through these lessons. So where would you like to start?
Well,
Elisheva.
I think for me, one of the big reminders from this whole story and the secrets that we learn from it is that, I think in a religious perspective, or when you look at the literal story, it's possible to look at the whole flood and say, well, people were being negative and God punished them. And that, I don't know if it's universal, but it's a very common perception that when bad things happen, when we perceive something bad is happening, it's a punishment. And it's a reminder for me, for all of us, that the universe is set up so that cause and effect are very precise. Meaning, if I put something negative out into the world, I'm going to experience something not as a punishment, but as a means to balance the energy that I put out, in a way almost to cancel it. So you can look at the world and say, well, I don't know, there's pollution in the air and there's certain foods that you can't eat. You turn on the news and you see this is being recalled and that is being recalled. How did the pollution get there? How did the contamination get there? How did the viruses get there? It's the result of many years of humans, in a way, ignoring, or maybe a better way to say it is abusing nature in different ways. And in a way, nature is now kind of biting back at us. And I use that as a kind of example in my own life. When I feel that things are hard or not fair, I understand that there is a balancing going on. And even if I can't interfere or prevent what's going on, by me shifting my perspective of it, it can be something as simple as somebody pointing out something I did wrong, or something I could do better, or maybe how I said something in a way that hurt another person. I can take that as, that's hurtful in itself. It's painful. It's uncomfortable. But I can also say what a gift it is to be able to reflect and recognize another way that I am unconsciously creating darkness in my own life because of the darkness that I'm unconsciously putting out there. So I feel that part of the realization this week and the opportunity that we have is to reflect on all of the ways that we're unconsciously, quote unquote, damaging, creating negativity. And we can do it in the most harmless, seemingly harmless ways, right? You have a relative that you call up to talk about what cousin so-and-so did, and then something negative happens to you. Now, we don't necessarily have the guidebook that tells you, oh, you did this, therefore that happened. But part of the taking responsibility for the state of the world starts with me taking responsibility for the state of my own life. And that if there's anything I can do to transform it, it's to be a more conscious participant in my movie, in my life, and not be as mindless or unconscious in my thoughts, words, and actions. And then I turn around and I say, well, what did I do to deserve this? It's not about you did something wrong and therefore you deserve something negative, but rather the universe is giving us a roadmap to understand you still have stuff you can be working on. You still have transformation left to do. And if anything, and I've said this many times, I don't know if I've said it recently, one of the things that keeps me striving for greater consciousness, for greater awareness, is I want to create a bubble, in a way, a blanket of protection for myself and my family. So if I was just an individual in my own boat, and that's, by the way, a reference that the Zohar gives multiple times, is that, there's a man who's drilling a hole under his seat in a boat, and the person sitting next to him says, well, idiot, what are you doing? And he says, what do you want? I'm only drilling under my own seat. And the guy says, well, you're drilling under your own seat, but you're going to sink the whole ship. And that realization that my actions not only affect me first and foremost, but my family, the people that I love, my community, and the world. It's something that keeps me making conscious choices, because if it were just me, I could say, I can handle the consequences of this. I can handle the cleansing that I'm going to need to do because of this negative thing that I decide I have to say. But the fact that I am responsible and that I have impact on people other than myself helps me make more conscious choices, because I don't want any negativity to come to the people that I love. So part of the awakening of this week, and I think, even when you talk about the intensity of the month of Scorpio, is giving in to the intensity worth the impact it can have on me in the long run? That's a very powerful way to decide I'm going to keep my mouth shut, or I'm going to journal about this, and I'm going to revisit it in next week to see if it's really a big issue for me. That we take everything with a grain of salt, and that we ask ourselves, is it worth the collateral impact that whatever's going to happen or whatever I'm going to say right now might have?
That's beautiful. I think the main point that I want to put an emphasis that you shared, that this week we want to really open ourselves and be mindful that how an individual can impact the whole world. The Zohar tells us clearly, from the planet point of view, there's natural balance with the force of the Creator. There's natural balance that will protect us from hurricanes and natural disasters and pollutions and even wars. But human consciousness, when it's losing the balance, and imbalance is when we forget about connecting to the light, we're just into ourselves alone. In various ways, we are impacting the physical universe. Internal pollution of the individuals and another individual and another individual that's causing collective consciousness. And when our collective consciousness, when we reach certain critical mass of spiritual pollution, negative consciousness, that causing, as the Zohar call it, corrupting the energy of our planet. Specifically, water. Until Noach time, water could never cause any damage. People could not drown in water. Flooding hurt people. Why? Because the internal energy of water, Kabbalistically, is chesed, which is love, which is giving, which is purification and cleansing. Nevertheless, during the time of Noach, the majority of the world were so much into themselves alone, and literally they shifted the molecular structure and the internal energy of water from water, which is chesed and mercy, to din, which is judgment and negativity. Like you said, it's not just God is judging us. It is in our power to block the true essence of God and to activate judgment and negativity. And there's a direct cause and effect. While it's easy for all of us to judge those people that causing pollution of consciousness and causing negativity in the world, one of the most important things in the month of Scorpio, refrain from looking outside. The mantra of this month is, how can I affect positive energy in me, my inner world, and my whole surrounding? And the Rav Berg always said, it's only consciousness. Means, how much do we truly trust that my mind, my action matter and are making a difference. So that's the first point, really. We are making a difference in a positive way and in a negative way. We are making nothing happen suddenly in our life. Another positive energy allows the energy of miracles to take over. Another negative energy, another judgmental energy, another evil tongue, another selfish behavior. Nobody sees me, just me and myself. Quantum theory is not just about particles. Quantum theory, the spiritual quantum theory, is consciousness affect the whole world. The illusion of separation and fragmentation, that's part of our test. And especially in the month of Scorpio, that there's so much intensity, we have a greater opportunity to affect positive change instead of falling into natural tendency negative. So that's really the fact that everything that we do matter, and don't point fingers out. Yes, inspire people to change their ways. You don't change people's behavior by telling them what's wrong with them all day long. You change people's behavior by us taking responsibility and by us inspiring others. That's the ways of the Kabbalah Centre. That's the way of the Rav Bergen Karen. Never tell people what to do, not what to do. Be an example, and through this inspire people to shift. That's number one. Even though our mind constantly keeping us in our own my limited world and my old limited cocoon, but the idea that we are all connected and we are all holding hands. It's illusion of isolations and fragmentation. So that's number one. And I think the second topic I would like both of us to speak a little bit about, it's what is Noach Ark representing? As we know, Kabbalistically, the Torah written in a coded way, and the Zohar help us to decodify. Noach Ark represent a consciousness of protection. So what's so unique about that ark? It was not just a physical ark that protected them from the flood. It's a spiritual energy field that became an energy of protections against chaos. What is the spiritual energy field that we need to build? An ark that you and me need to build, and more arks that can affect the collective protection. Actually, the Zohar tells us that the whole idea of the Zohar is the ark of our generation. But if you go to the internal characteristic of the Zohar, what is that energy? And we're learning from the Midrash that what was Noach busy doing 24/7 in almost 1 year it was in the ark? Helping, serving, and giving to the animals. Constantly. Giving. That was the energy. And that's what made the ark a protection shield, not the physical ark. So actually, to truly create protection, which is ironically the true inner characteristic of water, which is chesed, is energy of giving, energy of love, especially when there's intensive energy. Whenever there is intensive energy, luck is triggered, and when luck is triggered, it's tough for us to truly care about other people. The whole idea of the Zohar, the whole idea of Kabbalah is to awaken not just deeper understanding of life, intellectual, is to awaken consciousness of love, consciousness of giving. And that's the ultimate energy of protection. The true unity between all the cells of our body. Unity is energy of chesed, energy of love, energy of togetherness, energy of giving. That's meant to be awakened in the world that we live in, starting with you and me creating Noach Ark. Elisheva?
As you're talking, I'm reminded of a lesson from Rav Ashlag that I'm not even sure. I don't remember if it's connected to this week's portion or if it's just something that stands out when you talk about that awakening, that internal energy of chesed, of mercy. And I think about this lesson, especially so many times I speak to people and they say, why is the spiritual work so hard? It's hard, and even more so when we talk about the month of Scorpio, which even within itself, it's not a negative month, but because of the intense energy, it can feel challenging. The way that we tend to look at our spiritual work is that I have a soul, and my soul is pure light, pure goodness, pure desire to share, but it's bogged down by the body's desires, the ego, the influence of the opponent, and negative behaviors and tendencies that come with that package, and that there's a struggle there. This teaching from Rav Ashlag was, I hope that I'm going to do it justice. The idea is that the soul, before it comes into the body, is a spark of the light of the Creator, but it's completely in potential, right? When it's not in a body, when the soul is in the upper worlds, it can't actually engage in revealing itself, in expressing its light, its goodness, its ability to influence, and all the things that we're talking about here. So Rav Ashlag explains that when it's in the body, the gift of being in this physical world is that through the actions of sharing, of transformation, every time we study, all the things that we talk about every week in every episode, those things that we do to reveal light expand that spark. And, I think about it like a empty balloon and then a balloon that's blown up, that every action that we do, every prayer we say, every kindness, every transformation expands that spark. And when you think about it in that way, it's easier to understand how my own growth impacts the world. That my, creating that energy field that you spoke about, that's really what my growth, my transformation, my studying, my meditation, that's really all it does. And that's why being in the body, even though it can be challenging and heavy and difficult and seem like such hard work, the real work is just engaging in those, I don't even want to call it actions, because a lot of it happens internally, those processes that allow my spark to expand. So it's like we don't even realize it, but in those processes, we're allowing the light of the Creator to manifest in the physical world, to create that protection field that you're speaking about. Because in the same way that if right now I'm in a room full of lights, but if I flip the switch on the light in a dark room, the light fills the room. It doesn't only shine on me. It doesn't only shine, right? The light of the sun doesn't pick and choose. It fills the entire existence. And in that same way, the light that I reveal in my own processes shines on the whole world. Of course, most directly on the people that are close to me, but that the realization that it's my, in a way, responsibility to practice those processes. And I know, Eitan, you're starting a course in, I think it's the 29th, right? October 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Eitan is starting a course that can really, I'm thinking about it now. Where else do we share those specific practices in a organized and practical way? Is the Limitless course. I don't know, Eitan, if it's okay with you, maybe you can expand on how those practices and those processes are given over in the Limitless course.
Absolutely. In the course that will start called Limitless, it's really activating the light of our soul, the energy of our soul, which is limitless. And in this 10-week course, which will include wisdom, which will include interactive conversation, that life examples of transformations from dealing with challenges and dealing with uncertainty and dealing with the selfish aspect of us and the giving aspect of us, dealing with tools of our overcome mind over matter, and actually learning ancient tools from the Zohar, activate the unlimited part of us. We're really going to learn, and I love this teaching from Michael Bird that shared how to influence our body to be like our soul. There's two forces. We have the force of the soul, and we have the force of our body. The body tried to make the soul like the body, selfish, cold, disconnected, fragmented, reactive. And our soul tried to make the body like the soul. And really in every lesson, and that's what we're doing here, but every lesson of Limitless is tools. How do I wake up the body and pull it to act like the soul? You know, it's so interesting that, God forbid, when a person dies, the soul leaves the body becomes cold. Because the body without soul is cold, is into itself, is disconnected. How do we bring the warmth of the soul, the warmth of feeling safe and trusting and powerful and limitless into my mind, into my heart, into my day-to-day experiences in spite of the challenges of this world? So really that's what Limitless is about, but that's what life really is about, is understanding the purpose of life, the spiritual journey in this world. And every class will end up with 2 points. What is the intention for this week? And what would be the practice for this week? Every week. So it's powerful, life transforming, especially now. It's a time to inspire more and more those who are open, those who want to make the body soul. Without judging circumstances, all the circumstances in our life, and all the challenges and all, it's exactly what I need to experience in still be responsible. How do I change my body to be soul? Body representing the limited me, the reactive me, the selfish me, the fearful me, the doubtful me. So, yeah, that's it.
And I think, by the way, that's the difference between every week what we try to provide our listeners with and taking a course like Limitless is it goes from abstract or like the big picture idea to the daily practice, to the actionable. What can I do when? That's really what I love about the Limitless course, that it is so hands-on. And between the classes and the mentoring, the workbook, there's so much to support you in that. I hope that if you have not yet taken a course like this, that you take the opportunity to do it with Eitan. Again, it's Wednesday, October 29th, 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll put the link in the show notes as well as weeklyenergyboost.com. I really hope that as many of you who are listening can take advantage of it. And even if you can't make it every week, as always, you have replay access to all 10 live sessions. If you're there, or if you can't make it, you receive all those recordings so that you can even go back and repeat them. Anything else you want to share with our friends?
I think the last thing, I thought a lot of time I'm hearing the questions from students, and I have the question at times. I'm trying to help someone. I'm trying to change a physical condition. Somebody's going through ailment, through a major disease, and I'm doing my best, but I feel helpless to make a difference. especially now when we're talking about giving, energy of giving, consciousness of giving, actions of giving. So I remember that story from the Kabbalist, the Baal Shem Tov, that someone came to him and told him, please, Kabbalist, Rabbi, dear Baal Shem Tov, can you please heal my daughter? The doctors gave her no chance to live. They gave her maybe maximum couple of weeks to be alive. And I know you have a connection in the upper world through your prayers. You can change reality. So the Baal Shem Tov, for good time, at least half an hour, prayed and begged and meditated. And he came back to the father with a sad face filled with pain. He said, I'm so sorry, the gates are closed. I don't see anything I can change in the upper world. I really feel your pain. And the guy left with his carriage and went back home. And then about a couple of hours, he sees the horses of the Baal Shem Tov coming closer, and he see the Baal Shem Tov sitting in the carriage, and he was reached him and stopped him, and he was so hopeful, the father, wow, the Baal Shem Tov found a cure. So the Baal Shem Tov told him, actually no, I'm so sorry to tell you, I didn't find any cure. I tried everything. But since I cannot do anything with my prayers to help you, but at least I can cry with you and be with you. And that action of true compassion, of true empathy, believe it or not, shifted the decree and opened the gates, and the daughter of that person got cured. So there's always something we can do. It's not always about what everybody sees and the great courageous action that people say, wow, you're amazing, you changed my life. To truly change the internal characteristic, to become more soulful, to really shift the energy field, and as a result to create miracles, because whenever that energy of mercy is around, this energy of miracles is available. Is sometimes just by feeling the pain of other, truly caring. It's not always doing action. When you're in the right mindset, and it's not easy because our body is cold. Even if we do something positive, sometimes our mind tells us, I did my best, I'm going back into my own little camp, myself alone. But the idea of really opening my heart to feel and to be there, as if it is someone that really dear to me, that energy, that connection, that empathy, igniting and affecting change, we can always do something.
I love that. And I really feel like, especially having that mindset this week, the new moon, which is on, as Eitan said, Wednesday and Thursday, being especially mindful creates that imprint so that the rest of the month we can live into that mold that we create for ourselves on the new moon. So being as proactive, as compassionate, sharing, kind, and conscious can create a serious impact on the month to come. Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow us there for more content on supporting you in what we share every week. You can also go to weeklyenergyboost.com, where you can find the link to sign up for Limitless with Eitan, to watch the masterclass that we spoke about last week, as well as learn about all the other things that we think are important for our listeners to know about. You can click the donate button to support Weekly Energy Boost. Send us a message and search our archives. But as always, the most powerful thing you can do right now is share this episode and have as many people in the world living and practicing what we share. As always, thank you. And we'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.